How's it going, everybody? What is crappin'? An Arcade here, and I'm here to talk about the most recent news with Pokemon Go. Now, in my last video, you got to see Lake Park, which is the biggest spot in Wisconsin for hunting Pokemon. As I showed you in the video, it's lures and Pokestops all the way up and down the park. And for a couple weeks now, this has not been an issue, but recently, the Milwaukee County Park System has decided to launch a petition against Niantic and the game, claiming that they need a permit to put up all these Pokestops, just like anybody else needs a permit to host an event or be a vendor or anything like that. Now, I have the letter that they wrote to Niantic here in front of me, but first I want to say this. When the initial report came out, it sounded like the Milwaukee County Park System was trying to permanently ban all Pokestops from being in the public park system and pretty much stop us from going there to play, which didn't really make any sense to me because that's what a public park is. It's a place for the public to go and to have fun, whatever that fun may be, whether it's picnics or family events or Frisbee or Pokemon Go. It's all the same. It's a public park and it should be used as such because that's what our tax dollars go to in this city or in this state. The next report that came out said that they were not trying to ban all Pokemon Go players. What they were trying to do was get Niantic to follow the county ordinance rules and apply for a permit, to which they would further go on to say that if they applied for a permit, they would be granted one. Pretty much no questions asked. All the park system was asking them to do was apply for a permit. Now, I don't necessarily believe that because between all the reports and all the articles that I've gotten, I'm getting conflicting stories. Some of the articles say that they just want them to apply for a permit, as is stated here. Some of the articles say that it has become a nuisance and that the residents of Milwaukee that live across the street from Lake Park, which, by the way, I'll try to get a clip of it for the next video. I just wanted to kind of talk about it here. Or this video, it depends on where this clip gets inserted. The residents that live across the street from Lake Park are very wealthy. You can see that just by looking at the houses or looking at the neighborhood that the park is in. It is a very wealthy neighborhood, and these people are pretty well off. Now, given the stereotype about rich people being snobby and stuck up and not wanting to, not tipping, things like that, that's how they stay rich, blah, 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 it would make sense that these people would complain. Now, when I looked over the report, and I looked over the things that they were complaining about. They were complaining about things like litter, noise, and we were damaging the flora and the fauna, and we were just being a nuisance to the neighborhood in general. So I want to address these first of all. Litter is the big one. Since this game came out, there have been numerous posts in many of the Pokemon Go groups that I'm involved with on Facebook that are asking people to pick up the trash and put it in the trash can. And every time I go there with Jovia and any friends that I might go with, if we see trash on the ground, we pick it up and we put it in the trash can. And it makes us angry, especially if it's less than 5 feet away from the trash can. The can's right there. Just pick it up, put it in the can. It's really not that big a deal. How you could, maybe you tried to throw it into the can and missed and didn't bother to correct the mistake is just beyond us. We don't get why it was that much of a taxing thing to do. But the last time I was out at Lake Park, which was this past Wednesday, there was almost no trash on the ground. In fact, the Pokemon Go player, somebody has printed out signs and taped them to the trash can saying, with a picture of a Snorlax, it says, "Don't be lax about trash, throw it away." And they were complaining about cigarette butts. Somebody has also dropped off buckets with sand in them with pictures of a Charizard saying, "Dispose of cigarette butts properly." There was almost no trash anywhere on the ground. And the same day that I was there, this Wednesday that I'm talking about, there were 2 players that stopped playing and had garbage bags and little grabbers, or gophers if you want to go by the as seen on TV name, that were specifically there to pick up trash. They're trying to do a lot of good, but they're trying to blame us for things that aren't necessarily happening. And the sad part is that all of these things that they're trying to complain about are probably going to be heard because these people are wealthy. So for some reason, our society feels like they're the ones that can be trusted, and we're just a nuisance. But anyway, moving on. I think the next one was noise. Again, I was there on Wednesday. It was about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd say there was about 100, 200 people there. I have never seen a group of people that big be so quiet. I was walking with two people, Jovia and my buddy Charlie, and I could only hear those two. And I even had to strain at times to hear them because they were speaking so softly. Now, keep in mind, an extra 100, 200 people around us, I couldn't hear any of their conversations. And I remember making it a point to say at least 5, 6 times, like, I can't believe that everybody's this quiet. What are they complaining about? Now, they want to complain that we're trashing the flora and the fauna. There are flower beds and big beds of plants and probably weeds and things that are growing within the park. People take care to avoid them, to walk around them. We're not walking on them, we're not stepping on them, we're not trashing them, we're not ripping them out. So basically, if we're not dealing with the flowers and shit, all I can think is that they're complaining that we're killing the grass. Which, to be completely honest, is so dead that there's no way that a couple weeks of foot traffic from us has killed the grass. That park looks like it's been pretty much dead way before we ever got there. Which is funny too, because they want people to go to the park system, or go to the parks and be a part of the community, and now that we're there, they want us out. They're claiming that they don't want us out, but they want us out. And that's all this comes down to, is they don't want us there. And the only thing that logically makes sense is the fact that they don't want to spend the extra money to maintain the park now that it's getting this kind of foot traffic. For years, decades probably, it was just a park that was there, and it got a decent amount of traffic, but nowhere near what Pokemon Go has brought to the park. So they never expected this. And now that people are going there, hundreds of people every single day, 7 days a week, they don't know how to keep up with it. So the easy option is to say, we're going to remove all the stops, or in their alternate report, you just need a permit. Anyway, moving on. They also want to talk about illegal parking and drinking in the park. I'm going to tackle the parking issue first. Now, they do have a parking lot in the park, and they have, the roadways up to the parking lot, which are, as far as I know, legal to park in. There are no signs that say no parking, and the signs that we do see, we don't park near them. Now, there are some people that have created their own parking spaces. If you're one of these people, I don't understand why you're making this so difficult for the rest of us. You are going to ruin this for everybody else. Now, the parking lot itself is right next to a bistro. If the problem is that they want the parking for bistro customers only, or for the rich old white people that are playing bocce ball and croquet on the lawn, fine, you can have the parking spaces. We went there one week and they had a sign up in the parking lot that said parking for clubhouse only. And anybody that wasn't in the clubhouse left the parking lot. I drove right in, saw the sign, drove right out, found somewhere else to park. You're already walking. So walking an extra 200, 300, 400 feet to get to the park seems minuscule to me. It just seems like something that's not worth splitting hairs over. But to those lazy people that want to create their own spots, you know what, fine, you're more important than the rest of us. And then when this gets taken away, you're going to bitch and complain because, well, they're being unfair. Well, if you'd have just followed the rules, we wouldn't have that. Now, they've stated in the report that they've issued 40 plus parking tickets so far. Like my girlfriend says, if that's the problem, is issuing tickets, why are you issuing tickets? Just tow them. If they're in a spot that's illegal, just tow the car. They'll get the message and they'll quit parking there. It's really that simple. Now, as far as the drinking thing goes, the last day that I was there, which is the Wednesday that I keep mentioning, there were people walking around with red Solo cups. No fucking, don't bring up that song. People walking around with red plastic cups, I'm assuming with alcohol in them. There was a guy walking around blatantly with a can of Four Loko. We've seen people there walking around with cans of beer, flasks, and shame on you. I mean, at the very least, if you're going to drink in a public park where you know this is an issue now, be fucking smart enough to put it into something else. Put it in a Mountain Dew bottle, put it in a Coke bottle, put it in something. Don't just walk around, obviously, with a can or a red plastic cup. I'm not condoning drinking in the park because that's part of the problem. But be smart about it. It's just common sense, man. Like, we were all in high school. We all did the shit. Just be smart about it. If you are drinking at the park, and you're making no attempt to hide it when it's not allowed there, I hope you get ticketed. I hope you get ticketed, and I hope something happens, because it's not an okay thing. For the most part, us Pokemon Go players are trying to be respectful and polite, and we're trying to keep the park clean because we respect the park. It's a huge place to go and play this game. None of us want that ruined. None of us want that taken away. Because if you take that away, we'll be forced to go and find other places that are probably, quite frankly, not going to be as good. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And the people that go to the park and they make their own parking spaces and they drink inside the park and they hang out after the park closes and force the police to escort them out and ticket them. If you really like going there so much, why can't you just be respectful of the rules? I don't get that. We're not talking about like a huge government conspiracy. We're talking about a small county park. And the rules are simple. Don't drink, don't do drugs at the park. Leave when the park closes. And be mindful of your surroundings. And that's it. And the fact that people can't do this just blows my mind. But anyway, I digress. The whole point of this video was to kind of explain what's going on in Milwaukee right now. And I feel like I've accurately depicted that. Now, there was a meeting on the 7th of June, around 6:30 p.m., I believe, at a community room around somewhere in the general vicinity of Lake Park. I'm going to try to make another video on this. My goal is to go to the meeting and film the meeting and see what kind of responses we get, who's fighting for us and who's fighting against us, because I feel like the only people that are fighting against us are the residents that live across the street from the park that enjoyed the park while it was empty, but now all of a sudden that it's being used for its intended purpose are not okay with how many people they're seeing. And aside from them, I feel like the only people that are fighting against us are the people that are involved with the Parks Department. And maybe because they don't want to take the time and effort to maintain the park, because it was easier when nobody was going there. I don't know what the deal is. I don't have the whole story. This is just speculation on my part. But I do want to make another video, and I want to attend this meeting, and I want to try to film the meeting, and I'm going to try to get out to the park next week and hopefully film some players and ask them some questions about what they think about the situation, and are they going to attend, and just where this whole thing's going in general. You know, they've already cracked down on vendors at the park, and by that I mean unlicensed vendors. There have been a couple food stands, hot dog guys selling food, you know, free Wi-Fi, free mobile charging stations, and good on them. There have been a couple vendors, artists like myself, who are trying to sell their Pokemon-related items, their merchandise, and they've cracked down on it. And while I understand, yes, they don't have a permit or whatever, at the same time, fuck them for trying to bypass the middleman of the internet or an agent or a dealer or something like that. You know what I mean? So just the whole thing is just ridiculous to me. And so far, Niantic has not commented on the subject, and I attribute that mostly to the fact that they're still trying to work this game out. The Parks Committee wants them to apply for a permit which would require them to observe and maintain the spots that they apply for 4 times a year. Now, they claim it's just so that they know who is the contact and how to get in contact with that person in case things get out of hand. But I don't think that it's going to stop there. Like I said, they claim that they'll give them a permit if they apply for it, no questions asked, but for some reason, I don't believe that. I don't believe it's just going to stop there. Niantic's going to apply for it, and they'll give them the permit and say, hey, here you go. Continue doing what you're doing. I think there's a deeper embedded politics issue, and I believe it mostly has to do with the rich people in that community. So, thank you guys for watching and listening to me ramble, and I'm sorry that this took so long, but this really is a ridiculous statement. And like I said, I'm going to try to make another video in the following week where I go to the park and I interview some people, and then we go to the meeting, and hopefully I'll be able to cut that all together, and very much hopefully at the end of all that I will have a positive outcome to talk about, and I can continue making videos at the lake, because it's an amazing place. It really is an amazing place. So again, thank you guys for watching. I am Arcade, and I appreciate your time. You guys are fucking rock stars. If you like the content, subscribe down below, leave a comment, like, whatever, and I will see you in the next video.